the last dinosaur didn't die alone. When the last dinosaur fell, the first had already been dead for tens of thousands of years. What does that mean? They weren't wiped out in an instant. They were ground down over 30,000 years. This is the story of the slowest mass extinction our planet has ever known. Let's rewind to 66 million years ago. The Cretaceous. Earth was at its peak. No winter. No polar ice. Just endless green forests and life exploding in every direction. Herds of triceratops roaming the plains, pterosaurs ruling the skies, T-Rex standing at the top of the food chain. Brutal, unforgiving, yet perfectly balanced. Then a rock entered the solar system. A carbonaceous asteroid from beyond Jupiter's orbit, drifting for hundreds of millions of years, until Jupiter's gravity kicked it straight toward Earth. 10 kilometers wide, the height of Mount Everest laid flat. Traveling at 20 kilometers per second, 58 times faster than a bullet. Beijing to Shanghai in under a minute. The dinosaurs had no idea. Iguanodons moved slowly through the valleys. Herds of hadrosaurs crossed rivers. Early birds attempted their first flights. The sun was warm, the breeze gentle. Eat, sleep, live. Not a single creature since death had already entered the atmosphere. 20 minutes before impact, a light appeared on the horizon. Faint at first, like a bright star. But it grew. It brightened. The sky began to change, from blue to an eerie crimson. Birds panicked, taking flight. Dinosaurs froze, lifting their heads toward the sky. They felt something was wrong. They didn't understand what. 60 seconds before impact. The light was now brighter than 1,000 suns. The entire sky had turned white-hot. Hundreds of kilometers away, dinosaur eyes were instantly blinded, retinal proteins cooked solid on the spot. They couldn't see anything anymore. Only feel the approaching wave of heat. 3 seconds before impact. The asteroid tore through the atmosphere, trailing a tail longer than the entire sky. Air compressed violently, temperatures soared to tens of thousands of degrees. The image lasted less than a blink. Then impact. The asteroid slammed into the shallow waters off Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula at over 70,000 kilometers per hour. The energy released was equivalent to more than 100 million megatons of TNT. To put that in perspective, the largest nuclear bomb ever built by humans, the Tsar Bomba, was 50 megatons. This was 2 million Tsar Bombas. Simultaneously. 0.1 seconds after impact. Everything within 500 kilometers instantly vaporized. Not burned. Vaporized. No bones, no organic molecules left. But these dinosaurs were the lucky ones. It takes 0.2 seconds for light to reach the brain and trigger fear. They only lived 0.1 seconds. Clean. Painless. 1 second after impact. The ground tore apart like tofu. A crater 180 kilometers wide and 20 kilometers deep formed instantly. You could drop all of Beijing in and never touch the edge. Seawater didn't have time to flood in, it was vaporized. 330,000 cubic kilometers of rock was blasted 160 kilometers into space. Over the next hours, it would rain back down as fire. 5 seconds after impact. The shockwave spread outward at supersonic speed. Temperatures within 1,000 kilometers soared to 1,500 degrees Celsius. Not burned, flash frozen into charcoal. Skin, muscles, organs, all carbonized in seconds. Some dinosaurs were frozen mid-stride, mouths open as if to scream, but the sound never came. 2 minutes after impact. 1,500 kilometers away. Survivors saw the white flash, felt the ground shake. Before they could run, the shockwave hit. Wind speeds over 1,000 kilometers per hour, 100 times stronger than any hurricane. 30-ton dinosaurs thrown through the air like toys. Organs ruptured from the pressure change. Trees snapped and burst into flames. The air itself became fire. 10 minutes after impact. The seismic waves circled the Earth several times, triggering volcanoes worldwide. The 1,500-meter megatsunami swept coastlines at 800 kilometers per hour, taller than the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. 30 minutes after impact, the worst part began. Remember those rocks blasted into space? They were now falling back. Thousands of tons of rock re-entering the atmosphere as white-hot meteors. Not a meteor shower. A fire rain. The sky was on fire for 3 full days. 90% of North America's forests burned within 48 hours. The air smelled of sulfur and rot. Visibility dropped to 0. If you were a dinosaur 5,000 kilometers away, this is what you saw: the sky turned red, then black. Stars falling one by one, each igniting a new flame. Your companions falling beside you, crushed, burned, suffocated. You ran, but there was nowhere to hide. The entire planet was burning. Day 3. The fire rain stopped. But the nightmare was just beginning. The impact had thrown 2,100 gigatons of sulfate dust into the upper atmosphere. Particles 0.8 to 8 micrometers wide, just small enough to stay suspended for 15 years. They blocked 99% of sunlight. Global temperatures dropped by over 15 degrees Celsius. The planet entered a nuclear winter. The Cretaceous dinosaurs had never experienced winter. Their bodies had no mechanisms for cold. The giant sauropods, warm-blooded titans, couldn't regulate their temperature. Their metabolism slowed. They grew sluggish. Then they stopped moving. They died of cold. This was extinction round 3. The longest. The cruelest. It lasted 30,000 years. Here's what's fascinating: the asteroid impact didn't kill all dinosaurs on day 1. It created a world that was slowly, systematically unlivable. Day by day, generation by generation, the dinosaurs faded. The last one died alone, cold, and hungry 30,000 years after the first one fell. 30,000 years. That's longer than all of recorded human history. Makes you think. We often imagine mass extinction as a single, dramatic moment. A fireball. A bang. But the reality is slower. Crueler. It's a world that stops being your world. Temperature shifts. Food chains collapse. The rules change, and you don't change fast enough. Today, we're living through another mass extinction. The 6th. And unlike the dinosaurs, we can actually see it coming. The question is, are we changing fast enough? If you made it this far, drop a comment on what you think. Would humans survive an extinction event? Or would we go the way of the dinosaurs? Subscribe for more deep dives into Earth's history. See you in the next one.